Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. The establishment has trillions of dollars at stake in this election. For those who control the levers of power in Washington and for the global special interest, they partner with these people that don't have your good in mind. The political establishment that is trying to stop us is the same group responsible for our disastrous trade deals, massive illegal immigration, and economic and foreign policies that have bled our country dry. The political establishment has brought about the destruction of our factories and our jobs as they flee to Mexico, China, and other countries all around the world. It's a global power structure that is responsible for the economic decisions that have robbed our working class, stripped our country of its wealth, and put that money into the pockets of a handful of large corporations and political entities. The only thing that can stop this corrupt machine is you. The only force strong enough to save our country is us. The only people brave enough to vote out this corrupt establishment is you, the American people. I'm doing this for the people and for the movement, and we will take back this country for you, and we will make America great again.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
I'm excited about paying down $20 trillion worth of debt, getting rid of it. I'm excited about fixing the educational system. As you know, my wife and I start. It's actually our anniversary today. Coincidental that it's election day. Also happens to be my anniversary. But you know, as we kind of start thinking about that whole kids section of our life,
right,
the fact that we've got an educational system in this country that's ranked 30th in the world. You know, reading comprehension is ranked 34th in the world. Math skills is ranked 37th in the world. We've got to take care of that problem. We've got to take care of our national deficit. We have to take care of our military. We have to take care of our 22 veterans that are taking their lives every single day in this nation. We have 95 million people out of the workforce in this country. 95 million. We've lost 70,000 factories in this country since Bill Clinton signed NAFTA. 70,000. I mean, and I can tell you, Boris, you know, some of the experiences on the campaign trail when you drive by the Ford plant that just moved to Mexico. And this is the biggest building you've ever seen, and the parking lots are, you know, they rival any NFL football stadium, and they're empty and they're dark and there's not a single car parked in them, and all the life is gone and that vibrance and prosperity is gone. It changes you. I mean, campaign trail and really seeing America firsthand changes you in so many ways, but also gives you a lot of hope for what's to come in the future. And so I'm excited. I'm excited about tonight, and I think we're going to do this.
You know, I'm sure the voters, the viewers, want to know what's your day been like, right? What was it like to vote for your dad?
Yeah.
Well, I assume that's who you voted for, right?
Yeah.
So
let's hope so.
Let's hope so, right? So what's the day been like? Has it been a little surreal? Has it been fun?
Yeah.
Is it anxious? All these things?
So I was at the polls right as they opened.
Right.
I was at the polls at 6:30 this morning and went in there, and it was incredible. My wife and I went over there together, and we voted. And then I went to CBS, did the morning show there, and went to Fox, did a bunch of the morning shows over there, and I've been doing radio and everything else today. But it is surreal. I mean, here you see your father's name on the ballot.
Right.
And, you know, here he was. He's a businessman, right? I mean, his whole life he's been immense success. We've built the best hotels in the world. We've built the best real estate projects in the world. And I could see something change in his eyes. I mean, every single time he looked at a paper, he would shake his head. What are we doing? We just gave $150 billion to a country like Iran, a country that doesn't like us as people, doesn't like our way of life, doesn't like so many of the things that we stand for. And we give them $150 billion, you know, and yet on the campaign trail every single day I hear a story about, you know, I have $700 of government assistance a month, but my insulin shots cost me $1,000, and I can't pay for a meal. I can't pay for food. I mean, I can't get by, and we have so many needs in this country, whether it be our vets, whether it be our schools, whether it be law enforcement, whether it be depleted military, whether it be depleted infrastructure, and yet we spend money so frivolously in this country. Our politicians, Hillary and her State Department, lost $6 billion, meaning misplaced it, and you know, so sad. I'm a construction guy. I always equate things to bricks and mortar, and we're building a bridge, meaning New York State, just north of here. It's called the Tappan Zee Bridge. The bridge is going to cost $3 billion. So Hillary Clinton lost 2 Tappan Zee bridges. This is the biggest bridge, one of the biggest bridges in the country, right? It spans 3 miles of the Hudson River. I mean, that's the lack of accountability that our politicians have. If we were to do that in private industry, you'd be fired. You'd be bankrupt. Second, you'd be fired. But there's no accountability in our government.
And when they say loss, who knows whose pocket it ended up in, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's always
right.
a big question.
And you see our deficit that went from 9 trillion to 20 trillion over a 7-year period of time. And then Hillary comes out with her tax plan and she says, I've got a great plan that over the next decade we're going to pay back 1.6 trillion. I go, what's 1.6 trillion? When we've accumulated 11 trillion over the last 7 years. Well, what's 1.6 over a decade when we've accumulated 11 trillion over
and
the
that's
last
what
7
she
years?
says, when in reality it's going to be much more. Right? We know she's actually going to lose money. If there are 1 or 2 or 3 things that you really look forward to in the first year of a Trump presidency, what are they?
Yeah, well, listen, I think my father would do a great job reducing taxes. We have to reduce taxes for every citizen of this country. We have to reduce taxes, just as simple. We have to build the greatest military. We live in a dangerous, dangerous world right now. You see what's going on in Russia. You see what's going on, in North Korea. You see what's going on in the Middle East with terrorism. We have to have the strongest military in the world. We have to keep the American way of life safe. We have to take care of our vets, and that's something my father would do. But, we have to bring back industry. We have to get the economic machine of the United States rolling again. Last year we went up, for this past year we've gone up 0.9%, meaning, GDP growth in a year. 0.9%. That's the worst GDP growth since the Great Depression.
No 3% growth in 8 years.
That's right, which is the first time a president hasn't had 3% growth in a year, ever, during the term of their presidency. And we have to get the United States economic machine turning again, because it's simply not. And that's the best way to come out of the deficits. That's the best way to get people back to work. We have to bring manufacturing back. We have to bring the factories back. We have to bring the jobs back. But beyond that, we should have a great business plan for this country. We should have a great mission statement. Kennedy said, I want to put a man on the moon in the next decade. Right. And he did it in 9 years, 8 months, and 27 days or something very, very close to that, right? There's a great long-term vision for what America could stand by, and the whole world was watching as we attempted that, and we achieved it because we're America. And by the way, the average age of the person who worked on the Gemini and Apollo missions was 27 years old. And that says a lot about America and what we can achieve when we put our mind to it. I'd love to see us come out and say, we're going to solve the problem of cancer over the next 10 years. We're going to pay off our national deficit. We're going to build the greatest military in the world. We're going to stand for X, Y, and Z. But you need to have vision to do that, and you need to set those lofty goals. And I think my father, he thinks bigger than any person I've ever met in my life, and he'd be a great man to do that.
Some of the, it's been a long trail, right? 18 months. Yeah. It's been a long time on the campaign trail. As you look back on it now, and then you look forward, obviously, to the transition in the Trump presidency, what stands out from the last 18 months?
Yeah, so many of the trips through the battleground states and through so many states. I did tens and tens and tens of thousands of miles. I touched hundreds of thousands of people. I walked through every type of factory, every type of manufacturing plant in the country, and you really get to know America incredibly well and what America stands for. And you also get to see the people who have been so left behind by our government. Left behind. And, it's really disturbing to so many people. They see politicians in Washington, D.C. getting filthy rich, right? Bill and Hillary came out of the White House. They claimed they were, quote unquote, dead broke, right? That's a famous quote. Now they're worth $250 million. Yet you walk through some of these factories and they're laying off workers right and left, and they're trying to survive. And we keep on sending manufacturing outside this country, and it's just every single time it squeezes them a little bit more and a little bit more, and they fire another worker and another worker and another worker, and these employees are seeing their jobs slip away, and they can't do anything about it. They feel like they're powerless, and until now, really until now, and that's why this isn't a campaign. It's a movement. It's a movement. People want their country back. People want somebody who will start winning for this country again. First of all, our politicians don't admit to the problems that we have as a nation. 95 million people out of the workforce, the fact that median income hasn't gone up in 15 years, the fact that you have more people on food stamps than ever before, the fact that you have all-time low, in terms of home ownership. I could go down the list. The fact that Obamacare is totally broken and costing people a tremendous amount of money.
16% increases in Arizona, things like that.
You could go down that list. First of all, our politicians don't even talk about the fact that those are major problems, let alone try and solve them. And so I think my father's been a breath of fresh air to so many people who understand them to be major problems, but are frustrated that they get the same nonsense out of our politicians time and time and time again, and nothing gets solved. while these politicians sit in these beautiful white marble offices on Pennsylvania Avenue
and do nothing.
And quite frankly, it's pretty discouraging. I mean, I think a lot of people have lost the wind in their sails, and that's very sad. You know, people need to believe that they can achieve the American dream in this country, and we need to make sure that people can achieve the American dream in this country. And it's a very, very sad day when people start doubting that dream is achievable because our politicians in Washington, D.C. Are taking our country in the wrong direction.
100%. As we wrap up, a couple of hours still left on voting. Message to the voters to get out vote?
Listen, we can win this. I mean, we can absolutely win it. Our numbers are incredible. They are incredible. Early voting is so strong, but we need everybody to get out. You know, one thing I'll tell you about my father, and you've probably all seen it on the campaign trail, he will work harder than any person in the world. He will win for this country again. He's a great fighter. Sometimes I actually joke, Boris, that he's got too much fight in him, right? I go, Dad, maybe you want to. But honestly, we need somebody that has a lot of fight in them because we have real problems in this country, and those problems can be solved by competent leadership. And he's an amazing man. He's been the greatest father in the world to me, and he will do this nation an unbelievable service. But every single person has to get out and vote. Your vote matters more than ever this election. Get out to the polls, pull that lever, make your vote known. It's just so critically important as we are really in the last and final stretch of this election. So, thank you to everybody for their incredible support. It means the world to our family.
And thank you, Eric. You guys have been such an inspiration to all of us here at the campaign and to all of America.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. The establishment has trillions of dollars at stake in this election. For those who control the levers of power in Washington and for the global special interest, they partner with these people that don't have your good in mind. The political establishment that is trying to stop us is the same group responsible for our disastrous trade deals, massive illegal immigration, and economic and foreign policies that have bled our country dry. The political establishment has brought about the destruction of our factories and our jobs as they flee to Mexico, China, and other countries all around the world. It's a global power structure that is responsible for the economic decisions that have robbed our working class, stripped our country of its wealth, and put that money into the pockets of a handful of large corporations and political entities. The only thing that can stop this corrupt machine is you. The only force strong enough to save our country is us. The only people brave enough to vote out this corrupt establishment is you, the American people. I'm doing this for the people and for the movement, and we will take back this country for you, and we will make America great again.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.